Okay, hey guys. Thursday afternoon on the East Coast, I guess in Montana too. Welcome to Grounded with John Tester and Maurice DiGiorgio. And hey, Senator, we've got like just a little bit of news happening.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, Tallarico won in Texas. What can I say? That's going to be interesting. And Cornyn is in a runoff with Paxson. So hey,
Is that what you think the big news is right
well, that's a big news. I mean, that's the big news. Then there's some other stuff going on.
now? So we were going to get on and talk about some Montana politics because holy cow, there's a lot of stuff happening in Montana. But we got to mention this breaking news that just happened in the last half hour. So let's put it up here. The president. This was rumored that bless you.
Excuse me. I,
Whew.
I had sneezed. Go ahead. Go ahead. The president. What now?
Okay. Was rumored that the president was looking to oust Kristi Noem as DHS secretary. And this was actually playing into some of the Montana rumors about Steve Daines, but that's been shot out of the water because the president just announced that he is replacing Kristi Noem with Senator Mark Wayne Mullen of Oklahoma, and he will become the United States Secretary of Homeland Security March 31st. And he goes on to say that the current secretary, Kristi Noem, will be moving to be the special envoy for the Shield of the Americas, our new security initiative in the Western Hemisphere. So
That'll
he
make
made a
me.
new job for her.
That makes me sleep better at night. Right there. That makes me sleep better at night to know that Christy Nolan is going to be watching out for the Western Hemisphere. Yeah.
What do you okay, so like to
So
to appoint Mark
obviously,
Wayne Mullen midterm.
yeah. So he's kind of some kind of wrestler or boxer or something. So he fits in that mold that the president likes. Um, but the truth is we'll see how he does as a DHS director. We'll see if they continue to let ICE run around mass with no identification, shooting U.S. citizens. We'll see what happens. The truth of the matter is that the process they're using, I think most Americans are disgusted by. And if he's willing to make some changes, and I served with him, I think he was on Indian Affairs with me. Um, not a bad guy. We'll see how he works as Secretary of DHS. Still there? Or did you fade off on me?
I
Hello.
muted myself. I
Well,
muted
I knew it.
myself. I
There you
unmuted
go.
myself. Okay. Uh I gotta tell you, this week has been wild for anybody who's covered Montana politics, but it's bigger than Montana politics because this is talking about control of the House and the Senate. This is talking about this trend we're seeing. We're going to break it all down. But earlier this week, a couple days ago, we received word that Representative Ryan Zinke, former Interior Secretary, is not going to run for reelection. He cited some health problems, needs to have surgery. And yesterday in Montana, was the filing deadline to run. So in the morning, we saw University of Montana President Seth Bodnar officially launch his campaign as an independent for the U.S. Senate. And then, like 7 or 8 minutes before the deadline, Senator Tester, Steve Daines pulled out of the race, and Kurt Almy, the current U.S. attorney, got into the race. And my phone blew up all night long because people wanted to know a couple of things. First of all, what is John Tester thinking? And will he get into the race? And I had to remind everybody, no, he can't. Even if he wanted to, he can't. The filing deadline's over.
Thank
So
God. Yeah.
let's just hear what you have to say because people want to know what are you thinking?
Well, I think that this is exactly the kind of stuff that goes on in politics that makes people hate politics. I mean, the truth is this was must have been pretty well orchestrated, maybe even for months, or maybe even longer than that. And to make it so that only one person can run really isn't how our system works. And I'm sure if Steve would have dropped out or never signed up, there'd have been a half a dozen folks that would want to throw their hat in the ring to run on the Republican side. They've got a huge bench, so they could. But that's not how That's not how the senior senator wanted it, and they did a bait and switch at the very end. And like I said, it doesn't pass a smell test to me, but this kind of stuff's happened before, and I think that there's a lot of Republicans that are mad about this, and they should be, because it didn't allow the process to work. This is the same kind of stuff, by the way, where Democrats made a mistake when Harris came up, and
Yeah.
people could run, but they didn't run, and it was kind of a foregone conclusion. I just don't think people buy into this stuff, and I think it cost Harris in the race for presidency, and we'll see what happens in Montana.
Well, I wanted to ask you a little bit because I'm gonna be critical of you for a second.
Sure, be critical.
But but I think that, um, knowing what I know about covering politics in this US Senate, I did not
Yeah.
realize until I spent enough time here in DC where I am currently, um, how much rank matters
Oh
and
yeah.
experience matters in actually
Yeah.
getting things done, and I don't
Yeah.
think it was properly communicated by your campaign
Yeah.
about, like, losing uh-oh, oh gosh, where'd he go? You guys. Oh boy, we'll see if he comes back. Here we go. This is live. This is what happens when you're live. What I was going to say is I don't think it was properly communicated to the Montana voters. He must be in a tunnel. This is so funny. This is so classic John Tester. His phone's not ringing though. I don't think it was properly communicated to the Montana voters what it meant to have somebody with the rank that John Tester had after 18 years in the Senate. And so at this point, John Tester loses. Senator Tim Sheehy wins. He moves in. And now, where we're sitting today on March 5th, 2020, oh, he's coming back.
Can you hear me?
He's
I'm sorry.
back.
Sorry
That's
about
okay.
that. I'm in a car and I got a phone
Yeah.
call, and I ended the phone call and ended this.
Oopsie.
Anyway, so what I'm telling
What I
you
was
is,
saying, what I'm
I heard
saying is that, oh, you heard the whole thing?
I heard the thing about seniority makes a difference, and it does. And you're right. We didn't convey it enough, and the folks who lost on the deal wasn't me. I'm living a perfectly good life. It's the folks that didn't have me as chair of the defense subcommittee on appropriations, which oversees half the budget of the United States, and the guy that chaired the VA committee. But that's water under the bridge.
What I
The
was
truth
going to
is
say
the
about
truth
it, though,
is that
Senator.
Daines has finally gotten to a position where he could have some of that seniority, and he chose not to take it.
Right, and so he's stepping out of this after, he's, 12 years
12
in,
years.
it
Yeah,
will be, and so he's moving into that seniority position, and so when he leaves, no matter who's elected, Tim
they go to the
Sheehy
bottom of the
becomes
pile.
this they go to the
Yeah,
bottom.
that's right.
Tim Sheehy
Yeah,
becomes the senior senator with
that's right.
he'll have 2 experience, so what does that mean for getting things done for Montana?
Well, I think you gotta know how to legislate. If you don't know how to legislate, it puts you at a severe disadvantage, and there are people in the Senate that know how to legislate, and the longer you're there, you tend to learn it. I had the advantage of going through the state legislature and being in leadership positions in the state legislature. That taught me how to legislate so I could hit the ground running. But the bottom line is that, if you don't know how the process works and you don't know how to get a bill done, you end up with a pretty weak record. And, you can look at it, or you jump on bills that somebody else has and claim that you did those when actually you didn't do anything other than just claim you did them. Somebody else did the hard work. So, it makes a difference. Seniority is what runs the Senate, by the way. It's why, people like Jack Reed and people like Dick Durbin have incredible amount of stroke in the United States Senate because they've been there a long time.
Yeah, and I mean, Dick Durbin is stepping down too.
Yep.
This marks ten senators who are
Yep.
stepping down this year. Can we talk a little bit about kind of that bigger trend of people leaving office, especially Republicans?
Yeah, I will tell you that, I mean, I'm watching it from 2,000 miles away, but it doesn't look like it's a lot of fun to me, and I think that's where you're seeing a lot of people get out of there. Look, we've talked about this time after time after time on this show. The Article 1 of our Constitution, the legislative branch, has a job to do. And we can argue all we want. It ain't much of an argument. They haven't done much the last 13, 14 months. And I think members see it and they say, you know, why am I here? I could be home mowing the grass and getting as much done in my backyard. And so they're stepping away. And then for the folks who have rubber stamped everything that the president and this administration's done, if they're up for election, they have to back that record up. And I think it's pretty hard to back up when you look at all the things that have been done with tariffs and not reducing the cost of living, with what's going on in healthcare. Well, look what's going on with our allies. What's going on in Iran right now? With the fact that there's not a lot of, uh, of folks that are being held responsible for the actions that are done, and that's part of what the checks and balances are about.
Okay, so, I wanna put this up. Mm. Dr. Alashevsky is, uh is
He's
a
running for the
perennial
Western District.
he's a perennial candidate in Montana politics. He runs, a lot, and he announced that he was running for the Western House district that, Zinke is not running for reelection for. And he put this out last night and he said that Steve Daines just betrayed the trust of all Montanans. This deceptive maneuver is no different than what Zinke and Aaron Flint pulled on Monday. So this is not making Republicans happy because, I mean, there's no doubt um, this was a planned maneuver, and we saw the Danes video. It was recorded in front of mountains, announcing this, and he's currently in DC. So this he knew about it at least by the latest when he was in Montana last. But do you think that this will matter to Republican voters to not be able to choose their primary pick?
I think it depends on how people work, and you know, it may be forgotten about by them. But look, Dr. L almost beat Zinke 4 years ago, Alachinsky. And you know, we saw a similar thing happen when Rosendale was going to run against me, and they pushed him out. And look, they won. What can I say? But the bottom line is that uh, I think there's going to be certain members of the Republican Party that are going to be pissed, and they'll be pissed on election day. Others will forget about it.
Okay, so how does this all I mean, we saw, like you said, James Tallarico win the primary in Texas. We're going into a runoff. And like, how does this change the calculus for 2026? Is there any way to even guess what's gonna happen at this point?
Now, I've said for a long time that I think the folks who have to back this record up to rubber stamp it are going to have a hard time winning, regardless of what state they're from. It's one thing to win a primary, but it's another thing to win a general. And people who are happy about winning primaries that can't win the general shouldn't run to begin with. So we'll see what happens. But I think there's going to be a whole bunch of states in play. Remember, I was the one that said this election, if the Democrats get a good message, has the potential to be like 1932, which was an incredible blue wave. But we will see. You know, Democrats haven't been particularly good at messaging, and I say that being a Democrat. But the truth is, if they get that tricked out, there's a lot of things to talk about: healthcare, cost of living. We just went over them with you earlier in this conversation. But the truth is, if they get a good message out with some policies that'll back that up, uh, I think they'll do well across the board, whether it's the House or the Senate.
And
I
what
think
about
people are worried.
independent?
I think people are worried about this country right now. Even the MAGA folks are worried. They're not getting what they voted for. This guy's started two wars in the last month and a half, and we're seeing the debt go through the roof. We're seeing all sorts of challenges out there. We're seeing potential of our election being taken over. It's not. I think there's a lot of people that are very, very unhappy, and you know, we've had a Congress that's pretty much rubber stamped everything he's done.
I was watching earlier. I'm filling in again this week in DC for Scripps News, and I was watching earlier the House Armed Services Committee hearing. And I gotta say, the undersecretary, who was before them testifying, he was being grilled not just by Democrats, but by Republicans, senior Republicans on that
There
House
should be.
committee, and asking, what is the plan for
Yep.
Iran? Why aren't
Yep.
we being consulted? We have a say in this. And I thought it was interesting. And as we add another war into this, um, a mutual friend of ours keeps saying that this feels like 2006 all over again. Like the stage is being set.
I think it could well be bigger than 2006. I don't want to be over optimistic because anybody can screw this up. But the truth is that uh, it's right for those elected House members to be critical. But I'm going to tell you where the rubber meets the road. It's when they vote, and they can be critical, and I think that's a good sign. But if they just vote to rubber stamp, they're not doing their job. If they've got valid concerns, they ought to be holding the administration accountable. They ought to be not only asking for answers, they ought to be demanding answers. If you go into a conflict like this, you don't have an exit strategy when you go in. That's when we get into this goddamn forever wars and people get really upset, including myself, by the way, because these are young men and women who are risking their lives every day. We've already had a half a dozen of them that have died because of this action. There'll probably be more, and plus a lot of dough going down the drain. So, was this necessary? I don't think it was. I think negotiations is always better than shooting bullets. But, we are where we are. Once the president does this kind of stuff, you're drug into a situation where you kind of get out of control, but you still have control with your vote.
Okay, so the question everybody keeps asking, I mean, I see messages all day long today. Tester, we need you. Tester, tester, are you going to get back in? So what, like, we've already covered this. The filing deadline was yesterday. You can't. But what's your response to people who want you
My
to
my
get back
response
into
is
this?
my response is I'm flattered, and I am back into it, working with Marisa Giorgio on a podcast and doing some work on MS Now, and doing that kind of stuff. Look, I've said before, uh, there's some good people running for the U.S. Senate in Montana. There's a possibility, we could have somebody that represents Montana against the hierarchy and the parties, and I think that's it's a real possibility, and I hope that I hope Montans realize that they've got, I think, a once in a lifetime opportunity to select the cycle in the Senate. And by the way, we've got a hell of a primary going on in the eastern and western districts and our House districts, and who knows? Like I said, I think they're all able to win and start holding people accountable in government, and start working for the state of Montana, not working for the administration, not working for
I just
Washington D.C.
Maybe I'm crazy, but I feel like this puts Montana in a very interesting play and a very interesting move this election
Well,
cycle.
I think we'll see how this plays out, but I think you're going to see a lot more interest in Montana. And I think you're going to see a lot more donors that are paying attention to what's going on here and what people are saying. It'll be interesting.
Y-
And
You have
by the
no
way, both
idea.
the, the Western House district was already on the map. I think this puts the Senate seat on the map too.
Yep. And the amount of people who wrote me last night, like from all over the country, like, what the hell is going on in Montana? Like, what happened? There's a glitch in the matrix. What is happening in Montana?
Well, the truth is that half our Republican delegation is not running for reelection. It's the half that's the most experienced. Pretty crazy.
It's crazy. Okay. I know you have to go, Senator, but thank you. Any final thoughts?
No, just stay out of trouble in DC, would you? I mean, I know you're doing the scripts thing, and there's a lot to report on, so
You know, who can say? I'll stay out of trouble. I don't want to embarrass you any more than I already do.
too late. All right,
Too late. All right. Bye, Senator. And
tally
thank
ho.
you
See you later.
everyone for
Oh,
joining
my
us. I
hat,
appreciate.
my hat.
Oh yeah. What's your hat?
You know what
N.
that
Oh
is?
God. No,
What do you
I
think
don't.
that is? It's
I.
it's kind of a takeoff on the M Sun hat. It's Northern University of
M.
Montana. I mean, Montana State University Northern. There you go. All right.
Camille says that justice for Cricket, and yes, Cricket is the dog that Christy Nome shot. So yes, justice for
Amen.
Cricket.
I guess she finally got her sentence. Yes. All right. Take care.
All right, bye guys. Okay, I will hop off from him, but thank you everyone for joining us. If you have any questions, you can shoot them our way. I know a lot of really the amount of people who wrote me last night, and John and other politicos, in our group chats. It's been unbelievable, and I just I can't remember so many surprises in the Montana political cycle that we've seen, but certainly there are a lot of people who are fired up right now on a lot of sides, on a lot of different angles, and so we are gonna keep following it, and, we will see what more comes out, but for now, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being with us in this grounded community, and we will chat again soon.